All
ready
right.
when you guys are.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the picks and bans here.
Mhm.
Starting off, we had Gabrio banning Aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Wodar with disgruntled, wanted to see some Aquarium, but looks like the newer map hasn't been played as much yet. Fancy Pants ended up banning Veranda next. So get all the tough maps out of the way first.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Almost everyone's either picking or banning Aquarium as soon as week 6 comes up.
All right, and now for the doubled maps, we had Ballroom from Gabrio and Terrace from Fancy Pants. And then to round it off, we got Balcony from Gabrio and Modern from Fancy Pants.
Oh boy.
Fancy Pants is just doing what they've done all season. Pick Terrace, ban Veranda. Gabrio, what I really like about Gabrio, they've both picked and banned Balcony, which tells me, absent any other information, when someone does that, when they pick and ban something in roughly equal measure, it tells me they're trying to counterplay their opponents.
All
Yeah,
right.
but what is it going to work? We're about to find out.
We're about to find out. Stay tuned.
All right. I am in game right now. We have Alice as the spot on
Mhm.
Ballroom to start it off with Gabrio. Are you both ready?
Yes.
Yep. Right.
Who does the honors with Tobo not here? Is it me or is it you, Yeesh? I feel a little awkward doing it with my old broadcast.
All right.
I think you should get it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
count it down. All right. Starting off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It just wouldn't have felt right, I'm afraid. Gabrio starting off, as you said, as Alice or Equestrian, depending on whether or not you know that particular reference. And they're going to go right into statues right away, Wodar, and pick up, let's see, probably an early highlight.
Yeah, how do you feel about going to statues early? Like, a lot of people say, like, you don't do that because you don't want to get highlight early, just like this, because it makes it harder to do a hard tail afterwards.
I think it really depends. Some people really do watch their highlights closer. For other people, it's just the visual difference and nothing more. I use highlights to keep track of information and not necessarily to keep track of who I'm watching closer. Often it's the same thing, but it's not always. So I think I'm going to say it's a little overblown overall. Yeah.
So you're saying this is a fine open, getting two inspects and just sitting here?
I think it's a perfectly okay opening. Now, what I am interested in is, are they going to go get a flirt soon? It looks like they're waiting for that seduction target, Cowboy, to settle down, but Windows is not where you want it to happen, because by the time you get there, they're probably going to leave. So I think once we see where Cowboy settles, we're going to go in and get that first flirt.
Cowboy's not a man that's meant to settle.
No. He's born to roam, born to range. And he's going to go to statues. I'm going to be very interested to see here if Gabrio wants to go get a flirt and finish the inspects. Because they don't need to go and try to get 3 inspects done in one visit, since they already went, they could do both here. Taft is going to ruin it, and we're going to get a redirect into an idol at the conversation. Just hesitated a little bit there. I really think they should have gone earlier. If they had, they would have beaten Taft to that statue. Now they're going to have to wait, and look at that, with the idol end, so they have to leave at the same time as Cowboy, and here we go again, waiting for the ST to go, and Gabrio's having none of it. They said, I want to get something done for once. I'm going to get a fingerprint in the interim.
Yep. Put it right back down, and probably finally going to...
Okay, I think what probably happened here is Gabrio thought, you know what, this is actually a very powerful time to purloin if I green it, but if I don't, a white is going to completely ruin the plan. I still think a white would have been better than a crash, but now this is going to be on Fancy Pants not to overreact. We see this sometimes. Red coughs, clanks, they can cause people to overreact a little more. It's usually red coughs. Crashes, on the other hand, really narrow it down if the sniper's on their game. Let's see how Fancy Pants reacts. Gabrio still has decent progress here, and is maybe just now, though, hopefully going to get that first flirt. They're so close to Cowboy yet so far.
At the very least, they were purloining in a weird position, so
Yes.
there is a chance that they weren't spotted when the crash happened.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why the green purloin would have been so effective if they'd hit it. I think that's why Gabrio chose to do it. It would have been very powerful. It was kind of a weird, strange time and place to do it. But the crash has got to at least narrow it down. I'm a little surprised we didn't get to see at least a few lowlights. I think that maybe slightly indicates that they have a pretty good idea who it was, but there's no reason to shoot yet. And they also don't know that there's no flirt completed. I think Gabrio is just too freaked out by that crash, and they're not doing anything now. And they're just going to hope someone else gets shot.
If you hope someone else is going to get shot, you want to BB at some point, right?
Yeah, and it's got to be a good one, and you have to hopefully have a sense of who was around you when the crash happened, which is hard to do because in that moment you're usually panicking and not noticing what's going on. It's not going to be a time ad, and if ever you were going to do it, you had to do it before then. What's it going to be here? You got to get a good BB in, I think.
Would you say a normal watch check is a bold play at this point?
I don't know if there are any bold plays at this point. Gabrio is, I guess, I'm not really sure what the plan is here. I really think you needed to be... No, now you can't even BB within 10 seconds. I think Gabrio just totally gave up on that game at the end.
Green time ad right here. Oh,
You're right.
Okay, here we go. Now we have something to play with.
So Walt checked his watch at Windows very shortly afterwards, so there's a small chance that if Fancypants didn't react right away to that green time ad, they could have it down to 2, and maybe Walt's going to help you out, but I really think the BB was the better option there. We can see there's a few other highlights. And the Purloin has gone off in the meantime. Yes.
Yeah.
That might prompt a shot, but here's the thing. It can prompt a shot when you've heard the banana bread already, and there's no flashing clock at 0. Yeah, there's the problem right there. Because now they know they're going to get their 10 seconds of overtime, and there's not too much to say about that game. It's just the crash and the lack of progress afterwards. I think it would have been really interesting to see if they did get shot with a side statue, some seduce, and a fingerprint. I actually don't mind the decision, but the decision was indeed green and I probably win, white and I lose. I would have whited and walked away personally, but I'm not playing tonight. And Gabrio's down 0-1.
Yeah, that was probably like 100% shot because they didn't even wait for an overtime to happen because they knew overtime BB was going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, the Purloin makes a lot of sense earlier, especially combined with BB where you force them into that decision. But when it all happens so late and with the clock hanging, there's just no reason to shoot. So good patience from Fancypants, who is now on the spy as, I believe, General.
Yep, I got that too.
All right, yeah, start it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Is
that our first crash on stream?
Oh, goodness, no. Well, first of all, the stream itself has crashed a couple times back in the day. But no, we've definitely had crashes before. And in fact, I saw a crash in a very high-profile match earlier today. It happens at all levels. Fancypants starting off with a drink, can't rush statues the way Gabrio did. Instead, is going to go to bookshelves to flirt, and is going to flirt beforehand. It's a good thing they did, because there goes Kane. But that is technically at the very edge, or maybe I think even technically a hard tell, at the range of how long an AI will wait for picking up that book. Not sure if it's going to hurt you in iron, though.
No, it's really hard to see either way.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, well, I like that. Kind of going towards Kane and decides, you know what, this might be a little too aggressive. I'm going to go to Windows instead. Let's see where Kane settles here. Do they want to try to two-flirt and maybe rush something here? No, we're going to go the other way. We're going to say, I got that 51% out of the way early, and I have such good flirt progress so early that I'm going to stand across to avoid being flirt paired.
Hey, another green flirt.
I do wonder if sometimes some of these, intermediate players, they see these casts where we talk about flirt pairing at high levels, and they're very aware of it, even if maybe their opponents in iron or bronze even are not likely to do it. But on the other hand, a lot of these new players are trying some very advanced techniques, so hard to fault Fancypants either way. And with that fingerprint and most of the flirt done, this is some pretty good progress with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Definitely. He's going to hard put this book back in the green bookcase?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any reason to. Normally when you do something like aggressive like that, it's because you don't think you're going to have trouble finishing otherwise. But as we mentioned, the flirt's mostly done, a fingerprint is done. You don't think you're a big suspect yet. So if you're Fancypants, you really just want to make it look like you weren't just there for the fingerprint. Go kill a little time, lose whatever little heat you might have, and put it right back. Could do a microfilm right here, but nope. I think this is the right choice for now. You can still finish with a nice, clean, soft-tail game if you want to. And with that end in mind, Fancypants is going to try to get the inspects done in one visit right here.
I actually kind of like taking that book, BBing, and then just going to the other bookcase. What are they going to do? Shoot you?
Oh, 2 whites to start off. Are we going to 3-cycle? No, they're not going to risk it. That is brutal. If they get even 1 green there, they could be done with this. And the time actually is running a little bit low now. They're going to have to start checking boxes off. Progress isn't going to be enough. You need completions. And it looks like they think they have to bug now because of that, probably. If they hit that green on that second or first inspect, I wonder if we're next to the amber right now. Let's see if the bug happens. It's going to be Purloin instead. It's a white. Gabrio is looking elsewhere right now. I'm not sure this was caught, but they might be able to infer it. Is this a sip or a drink? Or a gulp, rather. It's a sip. They're trying to play it cool. I think a gulp would have worked there. There's another sip. That's a little suspicious. Okay, it's a sip into a gulp.
It's a gulp.
It's a sip and then a gulp. And that's what we do it. Based on the position of the laser, which is not always dispositive, I think a gulp might have worked there, especially if they just kind of hightailed it out of there. I really think what's interesting is that there's a really good chance that aggression at the end was the result of not getting those inspects done and suddenly realizing that even with all that soft-tail progress, they weren't going to be able to finish in time. And snipers are 2-0.
Agreed. I feel like just keeping it cool and just like doing the hardtail of staying at the statues longer and just finishing that inspect would have been better than purloining at the end there. Because purloining is hard to do. It's hard to get away with.
Yeah,
As we see here.
you got to wonder if he meant to bug instead of purloin, right? That's the
Right?
other
Yeah.
thing.
It
He
looked like
might
he was
have,
lining up a bug.
yeah.
It's certainly an odd decision otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So might have gotten a little unlucky there.
So
but-
we're 1-1.
We are 1-1, and the next one we have is Smallman. So when you need a spy one, pick this character, and great things will happen.
Ready when you guys are.
All right, starting it off in 3.
Ready is a relative term. I'm never really ready for a Smallman game.
I'm always ready for Smallman. Just highlight Smallman at the beginning, and then that gets easy. It's Spy Party easy mode.
I'm not ready for Smallman. You are. This is why we make a good team, Wodar. Gabrio goes into green bookshelves, and this is early enough that I could see them running away with it. There's actually a bit of cover from that conversation. The ST comes to us, though. I think maybe now you're just going to hang out for a little bit. It's just a white, but you will absolutely take that. Not that Smallman needed any advantages, but there's one.
Hey, you could have actually just taken the microphone out of that book, and I don't think you would have been spotted.
It's entirely possible. You could be looking right at Smallman and you might not be spotted. Standing across from a couple other people here, it's a very instant conversation. Obviously, we just want to see what the ST does. Maybe get one more flirt in real quick.
Oh, maybe the ST's nice to us? Nice.
That's still pretty nice. They could have been nicer, but you'll take it. That's 56% for free, basically. With the ST coming to you twice, if anything, it'd be hilarious if Irish was paired with Smallman rather than the other way around.
Yeah, kind of.
Now we see something similar to last game, where you got the early flirt, and so maybe you don't feel you need to rush to anything else. If the party has given you a free flirt here, maybe you were planning on dumping that book in blue, but maybe you rethink it now. Maybe you think, with a little bit of help from the party, I don't need to do something as aggressive. We'll know pretty soon from Gabrio, but it looks like they want a flirt timer.
Yeah. At the same time, you could just hold on to that book for like a minute, and the sniper's probably going to forget about where it came from. Especially if there's a BB in between.
It's
they have
possible.
like other things to look at.
Well, see, in this scenario, then it's like you don't want to be a noticeable character, someone who they might be more likely to be watching. We noticed that Fancypants has not given Smallman the obligatory low light. I do think we're going to go try to finish the flirt right here, unless Queen blocks, and Queen does. Gabrio does the conversation stop. That is something that could get you a low light. Instead, they're going to take a bug path without a bug. Very
that was
risky.
An excellent bug path.
Banana bread.
And
Good
wow.
BB.
Well, it's a banana bread with the double agent being the only other person in conversation, but the other conversations are pretty full. The funny thing is, from the sniper's perspective, that actually can look very counterintuitively unsuspicious, because who would banana bread as the only person in their conversation? It's not a common thing, but with the conversation stop as well, they might be thinking, hey, there's a chance I'm low lit. We know that isn't the case, but it's a reasonable thing to infer. Gabrio actually running a little low on time now. There's a minute left. And it looks like they're going to try to fingerprint here, which means we're probably going to be going back to green bookshelf pretty soon after this.
So we're going to finish for fingerprint and then inspect.
And that is way too close, I think, to the ambassador. And I think they probably have to go right to green bookshelf now. It's just going to be 2 quick fingerprints, I think, is what it's going to be. And I think, again, part of the logic might be I've lost heat or even picked up a low light for that conversation stop, so I can just rush through these missions now. Wow, side statue. Very interesting. Either there's a fingerprint I've forgotten about, or this is a very strange play.
This is going to take a lot of time. I don't think they're going to finish.
It's going to be pretty tough. I think center statue I would have understood. Maybe let that print decay. You go for a difficult for the win, or maybe no one picks it up. It's going to be inspect, swap, except the inspects aren't done. Half the flirt is done. 1 fingerprint is done. You got to go do something else. Is it going to be a bug?
Okay,
it is going to be a bug.
Let's do something else.
Let's see what Fancypants does. No. Doesn't see it. The swap is still pending. You got to finish something else here. This isn't the conversation you want to be in. You got to go to green shelf or something else right now.
Oh, this physically hurt me.
That is absolutely brutal. They got away with the bug. 2 bug paths, only one of them leading to a bug, of course. A pending swap, and even if it had gone off, nothing was going to happen. Wodar, this is something we've seen. We've seen some really good mechanics from some of these mid-level players, but the pacing, the timing, the time management, it's just something that takes so long to learn. You can learn how to bug in a minute, but you can't learn to pace out your games, I think, in anything fewer than hundreds or thousands of games. That's something you get in your bones after a while. Gabrio did a lot of things right there and had so many ways to win, but look at this. 1 hardtail done, 1 hardtail pending, 3 softails half finished. That is brutal.
As my uncle once said, you can take a spy to a statue, but you can't force them to inspect.
Your uncle was a strange, prescient man. And that's another sniper victory, although it was nothing like the other two. That's going to be 2-1 Fancy Pants.
Yeah, Gabrio there when he was requesting just a split second too late. Like if he had done it like even a half second earlier, boots would not have been offered, and he could
They were
have gotten
planning on
off.
purloining?
Yeah,
But
he was very
they could
close.
go to a statue? They could have flooded? And they
There were
wanted to purloin?
there were a lot of options there. I will say though that the crazy thing is that even though on the broad scheme of the game there are obviously much better ways to finish, once you were in that last moment, I think there's a decent chance the purloin would have worked. There was so much activity late, the swap was about to go off, although it hadn't yet, and it wasn't going to in time. So even with a pending purloin, the swap wasn't going to go off in time. That's just one of those games where you just need to do several things 10 seconds sooner, and you probably win.
Yeah. Purloin probably could have won. Flooding probably would have won easier. Like anything could have won.
I think that the moment of truth was after the briefcase. You didn't have to return it to the AMBA. You could have put it down sooner. And there was a print on green shelves to finish that mission, and then maybe you go flirt and BB for the win. Oh, you already DBB'd, rather. You flirt for the win. The decision to go to statues instead of finish up fingerprint or even just wait and see what the party gave you, that was when the game turned.
I can see why they decided. Actually, let's get into this next game before we talk too much about this.
All right. Yeah, we have Bling. Fancy Plants is Bling on the last game of Ballroom. He's up 2-1. Let's see if he can extend his lead on the first map. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
What? Oh my god. Are you trying to trick us? Is this a joke to you? No, that's a nice bug. That is a sweet bug.
Yeah, and the ambassador does us the favor of walking away, and we don't know if this is a highlight for possible bug or if it's just a highlight for Twin.
That's a highlight for respecting that nice bug.
It could be. They both make sense. It was an awfully nice bug, though, and again, the ambassador helps us by hightailing it out of there. And we're right next to the seduction target. One flirt is already done. That is a 360 after a bad collision, and that doesn't help, especially when you happen to be the twin that's glowing. Fancy Pants into blue bookshelf, wearing a blue blazer, and are they going to do anything with it at all? They are. They're going to white test microfilm.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
They could have greened. I think that was part of the idea.
They have a hardtail already. They could have just done all the softails.
They had half a hardtail, and in addition to the bug. But here's the thing: it's really counterintuitive. So I hear what you're saying. With the common wisdom on Ballroom is if you think you got away with the bug, and you may or may not have here, but if you think you have, you play a simple softail game to finish. On the other hand, they might suspect the bug, in which case that center statue visit and that banana bread get you shot. It's also worth noting, though, that if you can get the second hardtail done, as hard as it is, no pun intended, you can play either a statueless game or a silent game, and both of those on Ballroom are very powerful. We're going to get another white test, and that's going to end the game instead. There was a fingerprint on there, too. I'm a little surprised that didn't lead to an audible. But I think maybe there's a bit of a sunk cost fallacy with microfilm half done, and we still do not have a spy win, even though I think that bug might have been clean.
That bug, I think, was at least clean enough that if they had gone into statue, they would have been shot immediately.
It's entirely possible.
They would have been given the 10 seconds that they needed to finish, I think. As long as they didn't do more 360s.
It's entirely possible. But we're going on to a different venue now, a very different venue. It's going to be Gabrio as Salmon on Terrace. Buckle up. Bug is off, by the way. I would mention that swap is off, except it seems like you really don't need to mention that swap is off, because who on earth would leave swap on? We have been seeing bug off on this venue a little more often. People trying to lean into that frame game by leaving both fingerprint and purloin and inspect all on there. Let's see what the party gives them.
All right, we're going to start off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
What missions do you usually take off Bacon warning track?
Well, everyone takes swap off, as I mentioned. The big choices are between inspect, bug, purloin. You'd normally want to leave fingerprint on, I think, but AIs don't complete inspects very often. But lo and behold, 4 early statue visitors. This was definitely a good game to leave inspects on, I think, unless none of them complete. The big question, though, usually it's bug or inspect. Bug is hard to get away with, but you need that threat late, and you want to take up their attention. Inspect is one of those things where, God, you just wish you had it on when they finish, but they usually don't, so it's a bit of a gamble. But in this case, they've got to be glad already that it's on. And we have an early drink as well.
Has Wheels finished in specs?
No.
No?
I don't think so. No, okay. He's one of the four. One of the four.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are getting highlight for statues now because Inspect is on. So the 4 glowing people are indeed the ones who've already been to statues. The question is, are they going to go to other statues? Because you can go to the same statue set, and that'll mess you up a little bit.
Yeah, the spot usually doesn't go to the same one they've been to. But there's a lot of drink takers. This would be good good delegate if they get it off.
It looks like only a few people could have had a real banana bread there, and Gabrio is one of them.
The BB timing there was a little bit awkward because you just reduced a lot of the potential delegators from the Toby's bar. Wow, I'm struggling with words now.
Yeah, that's okay. Words are hard. There's no doubt about it.
They are.
And Seek is at statues again. This could be very significant. So the thing is, you can afford a quote-unquote bad banana bread on this venue, but you really need to see who you've knocked out. And you need, especially if you plan on delegating to someone later, which seems like it's probably still the plan here for Gabrio, who got a fingerprint in the interim, by the way, with a briefcase.
Ooh, that's good. Okay, so we just need to finish fingerprints and seduction, and we're done.
Right, and you got to figure there's a pretty good chance Fancypants is already crediting seduction, so the real moment of truth is going to be that second fingerprint. The question is, do you think they're going to maybe miss one on a drink or a statue or something like that? The ambassador is going to statues right now, for example, or do you want to deliberately try a difficult, though?
Banana bread.
I like going for the difficult. Oh.
It's a fake, but with the real double-aged. That is very strange. Normally sometimes you'll get 2 here, and it's going to distract from the Purloin temporarily, but here's the thing, Purloin's not the last mission, which is normally what you'd expect there. Seduce is the last mission. It happens right now. Purloin, I think, is just noticed, and Fancypants has to decide. No indications of a shot coming off. We have our first spy win of the night, and it's with a meaningless fingerprint to boot. Contact, Seduce, Purloin, all those early statue visitors don't end up factoring into the outcome.
Yeah, at first I didn't like that fake baby, but then I realized because it was hiding the Purloin, it actually worked out really well here.
It worked out fairly well, but normally what you'd be doing there is you would be distracting from the last mission completed to buy yourself a few extra seconds, and then they only have, say, 5 seconds to puzzle it out rather than the full 10. In this case, though, Flirt wasn't done yet, so I think it was maybe a little premature, but it works out fine anyway.
They just believed in the seduction target to come to them.
Yeah.
How odd is that?
Look, sometimes it happens. It happens a little more often on 3-5 variants than larger venues, so I can understand that at least. I think it'd be very prototypical if you flip those 2 outcomes, but in this case, maybe the rash of early statue visitors just gave Fancypants a little bit too much to look for, and now they have to try to match with a spy win of their own as Buns on Terrace again.
All right.
Count to 7.
Yeah, going to start in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Buns?
I think that's a better name. Her hair's up in a bun, and more than one character wears boots, so I'm sold. Dowsy has convinced me that that's the better name.
Sold on Buns. How about,
I still think of her as boots personally, but I'm working on it. A lot of early bar visitors. Let's see what Fancypants tries to do. Maybe get in on that. Yup, they're going to try to get a flirt and maybe a delegate, and they'll be one of several people who could have purloined at that point. Just a standard move. Got to take this when it's available to you. Not too suspicious either.
4 people, potentially.
Yeah, and by the way, worth noting that Swap is off again, of course, but this time Inspect is off as well, so Bug is on.
No statues ever.
Yeah, statues are meaningless, except insofar as they are a conduit for fingerprints.
This is perfect for Fancypants because no one's gone to statues yet.
Well, one person has hair, but right, it's certainly not like last time where 4 people go, and you suddenly wish you'd left it on. It's much more like a prototypical Terrace game, where maybe 1 or 2 people are going to go. And Flirt is 2/3 of the way done just like that. Question is, are we going to BB into Delegate? Here comes the BB.
Yeah. And do we... Yep.
There it is.
Delegate?
Nope, we wait a little bit. I like that, because here's the thing. People know that BB is going to cover for that. It literally just happened in the previous game, so it's fresh in everyone's minds. Instead, you wait that 5 to 6 second grace period, kind of like BBing and then bugging or purloining after the sniper has decided it wasn't covering for anything. That's kind of the trick here. I think I like the timing, but I think there's a decent chance Gabriel's going to be able to really narrow this down, because only about 4 or 5 people have gone to bar. Question is, what's their memory like there? There goes the purloin. There's a little twitch from Gabrio. I think they're kind to consider.
That bug would have been so risky, but I would have loved it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you want to lean into this 50-50, if they even have it narrowed down like that. Gabrio has not moved their sniper cam much since then. I can't tell if they're just waiting for one more action or if they're genuinely uncertain about who's been to bar. I think Fancy Pants might get away with this. They only need one more flirt, but the ST is at statues wasting time. But no shot has come off yet. Technically, they could be waiting for one more action, any action, even a talk. But that seems unlikely. Here comes the ST back. They're across from the conversation. I think they're going to need a green. It's going to be 93% with the white test, and we have a minute left. But the fact that they weren't shot for a talk is huge. Fancy Pants, even though they didn't hit that green, probably breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Ooh, do you like walking away now? Whoa!
I don't have any problem with walking away, but there it was. They were indeed waiting for another action, but they were waiting for another action for the Purloiner, not the Delegator, who I don't think they were sure where Taft had come from. Just works real clean there. I think in the wake of the banana bread, the sniper decides, well, nobody got delegated to. They rest on their laurels maybe for just a second or two. That's when the Purloin goes off, and Fancy Pants answers with a spy win of their own. We are still even.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. We're going to play another Terrace game now. Bug and inspect off, just like before. Gabrio playing the... no, I'm sorry. Geez, inspect off, swap on. Forget what I've said. I cannot wait to get into this. Ready when you guys are.
Ready
Count it
to.
down in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I actually love this setup. Well, except for the bug, but I like taking off inspect and keep you on swap, because now, instead of having to visit 2 statues, which most people see as a hardtail anyway, I can just visit 1 statue and get a swap off. Less work.
My esteemed co-caster is always enamored with the counterintuitive play. It is true, and this play is very counterintuitive. It's not as unusual as maybe a swap on pub, but I think it is the next most unusual mission choice. The question is Gabrio actually going to use it at all?
They don't need to use it to have it be effective, though. Because now Fancy Pants is going to have to be looking at people that are good at statues to make sure they unswap. And that just drains them of, Mr. Pad, but it's okay.
Well,
no one was
all
watching.
Of a sudden, you're really hoping the sniper is not watching people go to statues because they would have seen you missed a statue pad on Terrace. Not really clear how much Fancy Pants would have seen it. They will indeed have to watch statues. The problem is there's only 4 of them, and they're pretty easy to see, which is why swap normally gets left off, but stranger strategies have worked against even better players, so who knows. That is a meaningless statue visit from Gabrio trying to lose heat. And we're going to try to get another flirt in here. 34% on the first flirt. Going to try to get it 2/3 done here or a little better. And this is coming up on a pretty good chance to Banana Bread. That's what it's going to happen. It's going to let off 2 lowlights. And
3? Yeah, 3 lowlights.
3 total. 5 people could have done a real Banana Bread. Not bad. Not bad at all. Still waiting on the flirt, being very cautious with this flirt. It is a green. It's going to go up to 85%, so now any flirt anywhere will indeed finish that mission, but we still haven't found that 3rd mission yet, and we don't have a fingerprint, and the other 2 are hardtails.
Yeah, fingerprint's going to be hard here because it doesn't look like the ambassador's going to be moving around that often. I say that, but then, yeah.
The ambassador is mercurial and hard to predict, unfortunately, much like yourself.
Thank you.
Yes, I think that's a huge compliment. You, sir, are the ambassador of the casters. Gabrio's going to take a drink. Let's see, is it going to be a direct or a delegate? It's going to be a delegate. It usually is. Question is, who are they going to delegate to? They should have a good sense now of who was in the conversation when that banana bread went off, because you absolutely need to delegate to one of those people to at least force that difficult coin flip decision in the moment. Question is, can you distract from the moment when you delegate? Do you stop talk right away? A lot of decisions there. Depends on how closely you think you're being watched, and if you missed a statue pad earlier, which you did, you have to assume you're being watched pretty closely. There's the final flirt coming off, and the delegate's going to be the last mission in just a moment. I think it's going to be to our Helen Mirren lookalike right there. Yep, it is. Yep. And wow, the timing. Fancy Pants was zoomed in on Cowboy's statue, making sure it wasn't swapped. Wodar, you may have been exactly right. That might have distracted from the delegate. Here comes the big moment. Banana's going to knock out the actual Purloiner. This is what we were talking about last game. Fancy Pants zooms in on Gabrio, but does not indicate a shot. They hesitate. Yep. That is what we were talking about the previous game, where the banana bread throws a little chaos into the mix in a moment when you don't have any time to actually think. And right there, I wonder if maybe they were distracted by the possibility of swap. You might have been prescient, my friend. We have 3 straight spy wins on Terrace. Boy, Terrace ain't ballroom.
Yep, Terrace is actually a good map.
Let's not go that far. It ain't ballroom. That's what I'm comfortable saying for now.
I do have to say that I think the BB at the end was a bit fancy.
Banana bread.
You would
I
want your ST target to still be a potential shot for going
Yes.
to the bar.
Yeah, I think on paper you want to at least force them into that, especially because they didn't know this. Certainly, the spy did not know this, but the fact that they were distracted and zoomed in at the actual moment of the delegate makes it a lot more powerful. But right, normally the idea is to force them into a very difficult choice between the two at best. In this case, though, throwing a little more chaos into the mix works just as well.
It
Another
did.
spy win.
Yep, scoreboard. No shot was taken.
Yeah, fair enough. Fancy Pants trying to equalize.
Oh, it's your favorite spy, Smallman.
Oh boy, here we go again. Ready when you guys are.
Yep.
All right, starting
too.
in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And so Smallman is an interesting choice on Terrace. Obviously, in almost any other venue, we're talking about hidden bugs and small microfilms behind conversations and all sorts of other things like that. But here, you have a lot of suspicion, but a lot of the benefit isn't there. You might get a really good bug opportunity, you might not. What you can get is a delegate and stop talk or something similar in the back of a conversation. You can also get a banana bread where you're not listed in the sniper's mind as one of the people who could have done a real banana bread until much later when you see them emerge. I've seen that happen more than once. I've highlighted everyone for a real banana bread, and then about 30 seconds later, I think, wait a second, where'd Smallman come from? I guess they could have had one too. So it does give you a couple options there. That are not really available on other venues.
It was very close there, but I think Fancy Pants could have bugged right there. And I think it would have been a really good bug.
You'll be
It
very
would have been
pleased. Swap
good if
is on
bug was
again.
turned on. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, no!
It's the same,
perfect
same
timing.
format.
No!
Yeah. Swap is on, Purloin is on, Bug and Inspect both off, and the delegate there goes to Kane. There it goes, and there have not been that many bar visitors, though, so this is either perfectly clean or this is very narrowed down. Highlights will tell the story. That's 1, 2, 3. Is Smallman going to get one?
Maybe not. They were hiding. You know,
Oh,
Smallman's
boy.
power.
If these highlights are actually indicative of the sniper's
Banana
thinking,
bread.
then they might have gotten away with it. Nope,
Oh.
there's one. There's the real banana bread. It's going to knock out 2 of those highlights, too. Taft and Twin. No, looks like 3. The actual Purloiner's knocked out. We've got it down to 2 people. And the 2 people are the spy and the person they're trying to seduce. So they're going to have to go chase the other suspect now. And the talk will be what tells us whether or not they're going to die. One
Yep.
more action.
I could see this going either way. Especially
yes.
if Fancy Pants goes to statues.
I mean, there's plenty of time left, and right now, if you think it's narrowed down, you probably think it's narrowed down maybe to you and somebody else. I don't understand the timing of the banana bread exactly, but you've got to figure if you're not dead, it's probably narrowed down. So your job is to appear less spy-like than the other person, which is going to be pretty hard because Teal just did a double redirect, I think. It was a very, very unspy-like move. Fancy Pants, are they close enough for this? They could not get in time. Twin blocks the spot next to the seduction target. Flirt coming up. Doesn't matter.
they were close
100%.
enough.
Not shot for the talk yet. Few more seconds. It looks like the sniper's going to hold their shot once again. 4 for 4 spies go on Terrace after going 0 for 4 on Ballroom.
Yeah. I think we've confirmed that this is the best map in Spy Party.
We've confirmed that it's easier to win as spy on Terrace than it is on Ballroom, if nothing else. And it's also easier to win on Balcony, which is our next venue.
Yes!
It's going to be Gabrio as Wheels. Ready when you guys are.
I need to create the game.
Yep, I'm also in.
I am so excited that I get to cast with you on Ballroom.
On Balcony.
Sorry, not Ballroom,
Yes.
Balcony track.
I know you are. We're going to cast it at normal speed just for you.
Yes. All right. Ready when you are, Yish.
All right, we're going to be starting it off.
Yep.
1, playing it. Sorry about that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Gabrio goes into the back of the CC, which is usually good for the spy because you want to be away from the sniper, just to be a little bit further from their mind.
Right.
Banana bread.
Sure. Or by the time the bullet reaches you, it's just that much slower. I get it. Absolutely. We're across from our seduction target. The question is, do you want to flirt or do you want to red flirt them to windows? We're going to do neither, and the DA is going to bail during the banana bread. Only lets off 1 low light, though, the DA themselves. So it's a bad start. Certainly chasing the windows there. No flirt comes off.
Yeah.
There's nothing has happened in the first 30 seconds except we've let off a free low light. This is a rough start.
Very
That
rough.
is too close. That is too close to the ambassador to pick that up, even on Balcony. I don't know if
Who
Fancy Pants
cares
is gonna-
about these numbers? It's all right. This is Balcony. No one knows this is this kind of thing.
Well, I noticed, and I'm not very good at it. So who knows? We are going to get next to our seduction target here, though. If we hit a green here, all will be forgiven, and the game will be interesting again.
Banana
Yeah.
bread.
It
The
says
problem
it's
is
going to be
that
banana bread. Twin is going to get
Right.
knocked out. That's going to be 2 lowlights now. 1 for each banana bread.
Green BB is great so that we aren't actually talking.
It's better than white.
It is definitely better than white. The problem is that we chase our seduction target without getting anything from it. So now
this is
we can
brutal.
have
You
a
can't
suspicion
even-
for that.
Correct. You get the green flirt there, but it's already too late to timer flirt. You're going to have to leave and come back. And the party is winnowed down. I don't feel like Gabrio is a much bigger suspect than the others, but they're at the point where they have to leave and run back just to get a chance at a green flirt for the win, where they'll be talking late. But Irish talks again. They're one of those suspects. That's enough. That was an awful, awful start, but sometimes the AIs could just be done and the sniper takes the shot. That's 5 spy wins in a row.
Bread.
Boy,
Awesome.
oh boy.
Irish was out for the first BB, so that was a pretty big miss by
Yeah, that was
Fancypants.
a big miss. Yeah, like people say that there's no humans don't really factor into who wins on a balcony. But like here we see a sniper, missing a low light, and that really changed how this game ended.
Yeah, I feel like a shot was going to come off either way because there were 3 or 4 highlights, and you got the impression from the sniper that they were about equally suspicious of everyone. I think if any of those other highlights talked, there was probably going to be a shot anyway.
Mm-hmm. Or if they just held their shot for a bit and they saw the spy leave and come back and talk.
Yeah, could have been. Yeah, certainly Gabrio in a bad position after that slow start. Missed a lot of opportunities to flirt. And what I've noticed already is that these spies, even in Iron, are really being cautious about these flirts. They're taking a very long time to get them done, even on Ballroom sometimes. Being very, very cautious about being, I guess, flirt paired, which is a thing on Balcony, but seems a little overly cautious to me. Fancypants is going to try to make it 6 spy wins in a row, though, now, as Twin. Bling Twin.
All
right, starting in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
All right, here we go. Perfect
This is more
opening.
like it. Gonna end up right next to our seduction target. And it's just gonna be a 34% flirt, but it's done in the first 10 seconds, so that's a little bit.
Yep. And I think other people were talking, so they went to first stalkers. At least they are not highlight for anything right now. But like, what do you look at if you don't look at talkers on balcony? I guess like you wait for the BB and you highlight whoever was talking during the BB.
Banana bread.
I mean, you want to look at a little bit more than that. You want to look at who's wasting time, who's doing pointless briefcases with fingerprint off, who's doing AI redirects, who's spacing it out. There are just spy things. You're also looking at interrupts because you can actually afford to track that here. Spies are just more likely to interrupt. It's not a hard tell like it used to be, but spies like to interrupt more, certainly, than AIs.
Yeah, definitely. You need to interrupt to get your timings correct to finish on this map. But, unfortunately, the ST left while we were trying to do a seduction.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. 50 seconds left, and only... Oh, there's the second flirt, but it's still only 60%. We're going to need a green test late, even if we timer flirt, which will be cutting it really, really close. Banana bread is done, but right now it looks like we're one of the bigger suspects, and you don't want to be banking on that green test for the win, especially when it's just a hold even here. You're already at a 1-game deficit. ST does leave, but there's a big open space next to us. They could go anywhere in there, and they're going to have to go a little closer than not, and we're still going to need a green test either way. And if they go far away, we're in big, big trouble. Big moment coming up. Which side of the Twins is ST going to go on? Neither. They're going to stay at windows. You got to chase right now. It's going to be overtime no matter what now. ST comes back in. They're too far away. It's not going to work. You got to hope they shoot somebody else. And it doesn't look like they're going to because nobody who seems to be a big suspect is talking late. This is probably just going to be a timeout. Good hold from Gabrio. Fancypants was in a decent position there, but I think the moment they decided not to go to windows, it was all over. And we actually have, amazingly, another sniper win this time. It is 6-4 Gabrio. They have guaranteed themselves at least a point in a very crowded Iron division.
Yeah, good patience there.
Yeah,
knowing that like nothing interesting was going there. Nothing interesting was happening in that body.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. So that game was won by only having one significant suspect going into the final 30 seconds. They weren't really suspicious of anyone else. There wasn't a lot of movement either. Still feel Gabrio maybe could have won it. That would have been a difficult shot if they'd gone to windows, but instead it's just a timeout.
Yeah. So I heard you don't like balcony, so let's go to the opposite of balcony here.
Let's go to 10 balconies duct taped together. It's modern, the largest venue in the game, and it's going to be Gabrio as Walt.
All right, starting it off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And we've seen some time management issues earlier. You cannot afford to have those on Modern, even with the extra 30 seconds that were added earlier. It's at 4:30 now rather than 4. And Gabrio's going to a fairly innocent conversation early. Either they're going to do a very early banana bread, which I think might be ill-advised given how many people are out, or they're just going to kill a little time right up front. Nope, they're going to go to the bar instead. I think they realize this is not a good conversation to be in. There are 3 early statue visitors. Let's let those highlights accumulate, and let's get ourselves a delegate in the meantime. It is going to be a delegate, and let's see if they're going to go get a flirt in. Alice is all alone in that conversation, and that's a problem because by the time we get there, she's going to be done, and now she's going to go to statues, and we cannot get that first flirt in.
But it's not that bad. There's another person at statues, and that's going to be suspicious.
Yep, it's a bit of a trade there. You get another statue visitor, Duke as well. A lot of early statue visitors, and if you're Gabrio, sipping in conversation again there. The ST does come across from us, but we leave as soon as it happens. Very selective etiquette choices here right now, and I think that's the little break we needed to get something going. Instead, we're going to leave. Let's see where Alice goes next. It's back to statues. And this time, there is no benefit because back to the same statues means they still cannot be done with inspects if Fancypants is tracking that closely enough. And we're going to knock them out anyway. We're going to knock out 4 or 5 people, including, I think, 3 statue visitors, including Smallman, including RST. It's not terrible, except that some of those people would have made very good frame targets late with all those statue rushes. And there's another statue for Alice. Let's see if she can visit all of them.
Around the world with Alice.
Yep. I'll just say right now, if I'm playing a competitive game on Modern and you're the spy and you go to all 3 statue sets, I will strongly consider low-lighting you, especially if you're out during 2 different banana breads, which is what's happened now. Alice still does not have a low light, though. There's a couple coming off.
It will be somewhat unfortunate if Alice gets shot here.
It'll be incredibly unfortunate. Yes, there we go.
There we go.
Now, a lot of the lowlights that did not come off for the first banana bread came off for the second instead. Gabrio, the Purloin, meanwhile, has gone off amidst all this craziness, but they traded a lot of lowlights for the cover on that Purloin, and now we got to go to statues anyway. And a lot of time. Yes, there's 2 minutes left, 2 missions done, only one of them a hardtail. We have 0 flirt progress, though, because of our statue-happy fiend of a seduction target. We're going to get a couple of inspects of our own in there, though, which is going to give us some options later. Probably inspect swap if I know Iron players at all. But you still want to get that flirt in right now if you can.
Yeah, inspect swap is not a bad way to end this. Especially if you can flirt, finish flirts, inspect swap in the game, I think, right? I can count to 5.
Maybe. If we don't hit a green test here, we're going to have to move around a lot more to get this flirt done. This is why getting that first flirt in would have been so huge. You'd be in a totally different position now with a little under 2 minutes left. And look again, we're waiting on the flirt. We hit a green, but wow, there was a good 10 or 15 seconds. These players are deathly afraid, it seems, of getting flirt paired here in Iron. Is Iron that scary? It might be. Players get good too fast. I hate it. And we're seeing a lot of indications that flirt pairing is a thing in Iron, apparently.
Here's a water pro tip. You can move around a lot as a spy at the very beginning of the map, so you can just get a flirt, walk away from the CC, and then walk right back in. And you're probably not going to be seen by anyone.
That might be a tad aggressive, but you're right. You certainly can move around a lot more than they have, and you could probably afford to talk a little bit quicker on Modern. But this party is very winnowed down from those banana breads. About half of it is low lit already, which does make flirt pairing a little easier. That green test helps a lot, though. But you've got to start lining this up. Your ST is once again interested in all sorts of inanimate objects, and it looks like they're going to give themselves some options here by trying to pick up a fingerprint.
Yeah, but now what? Okay, Ambassador's at a statue.
Yep.
Okay,
we can do this. You can finish 2 missions. 2 missions at one. Well, I don't know if you want to swap there with half that flirt done.
I think you do. You have 30 seconds left.
Well, we're going to see pretty soon. They're waiting for that ambassador to leave. They're going to have to chase it. This is where idling a little bit here and there. Those 10 extra seconds where they were waiting for the flirt will really come in handy right now. And they're going to have to walk right next to the Amba. They're going to try to bug into inspect, into fingerprint. Boom, boom, boom. 3 at once to finish up. Big moment coming up. They are not highlight for the earlier statue visit, though. This might actually work with half flirt on the table. There's going to be a few seconds of overtime, and they're right next to the Amba, which might make them a shot by default. 3, 2, 1. The beeps are about to start. No time to react. Gabrio finds 3 missions in a 10-pixel radius. The flirt is half done, but it doesn't matter. And another spy win. It's for Gabrio, and it closes out the set in style. 7-4, big win for Gabrio. Tough loss for Fancypants. Spies really got busy after those ballroom games.
I saw a real evolution in Gabrio's play, I think. through those matches. Like here, like we still saw like some slight mistakes at the beginning, but at least they were able to make up for it at the end with that aggression and actually getting like that was a fine bug, and they put themselves in a position to finish.
Yeah, what's really interesting is in that moment when the ambassador picks up the statue next to you, you think, well, that's probably bad luck because I don't want them to be looking over here. And now the ambassador is going to be right next to me, where I want to go. On the other hand, they think, you know what? I'm just going to bug instead. It was a pretty visible bug, but on Moderna, if your eyes are elsewhere, the mission is free. It's like library in that regard. And in this case, 3 missions in one site. You have to take that when it comes to you. Really strong win from Gabrio at the end. A lot of good vacillation between strong sniper play and then strong spy play, certainly on Terrace and